Avatar: The Last Airbender is a beloved Nickelodeon series that has touched the hearts of entire generations. Kids loved it, parents loved it, everyone loved it. So of course Nick decided to milk it for all it's worth. Now we have sequels, games, comics, books, and so on. Some good, some less than good. On the less than good side is the topic of everyone's minds as of late: live action. We've already had our fair share of one with the 2010 dumpster fire that was the M. Night Shyamalan movie, but that has had 14 years for people to dissect and kick into a pulp. I want to discuss the newest live action adaptation, which has had the same amount of hate poured into it in about 3 months. Sure, it's better in some ways, but anything's better than Shyamalan's. But even that disgrace to this series didn't ruin one of the most important stories for fan favorite character, Zuko. If you don't know the story, Zuko is the banished prince of the Fire Nation, a tyrannically ruled colonial state whose sole goal for most of the series is to find and capture the Avatar, the one who will supposedly stop Fire Lord Ozai. Zuko, despite being former heir to the massively oppressive power that is responsible for several genocides, is still likable, and that is mostly carried through his backstory. See, Zuko was to shadow a meeting between his father and some generals, but he is interrupted when one of them suggests sacrificing a division of the army made up of entirely new recruits so that they could ambush an Earth Kingdom battalion. Zuko is so adamantly against the sacrifice of these soldiers that he eventually agrees to an Agni Kai, a firebending duel. Expecting to fight the general, Zuko walks up to the battle to find his father there instead. He refuses to fight his father, and for it he is given a scar over his left eye and is banished from his home. The reveal of Zuko's backstory is one of the best parts of the series, in my opinion. It's the first time Zuko is introduced as something more than just a villain. Instead, he is now an actually likable character with understandable motives. In the live action series, it's handled less than great. There's plenty I want to discuss about the war room scene, but for the sake of time, I'll stick to the Agni Kai. The first problem with the scene is the presentation. In the original, Ozai was a shadowed figure, looming tall and powerful. In the remake, he's just a guy. Right away, he's revealed long before the scene, making his threatening presence diminished. Secondly, the stage in which this is set does not convey the absolute grandiosity that comes with an Agni Kai battle, especially this Agni Kai. A, it's the Fire Lord and his son, who wouldn't want to see that. Well, other than Iroh, of course. And B, this is meant to be a public humiliation for everyone to see. Zuko cannot hide. He must either fight or cower, and no one can deny what happened. The remake stage is a little platform the height of a thick karate mat with about 15 people watching, if we're being generous. This feels more like a practice session than an actual humiliation tactic. Third of all, and the worst offense, is how every character in this scene reacts. Let's start with Iroh, Zuko's uncle who took care of him like a father after the loss of his own son. While I do think it's sweet that this version stood up for Zuko, it undermines Ozai's power. Iroh, just like everyone else in the Fire Nation, is terrified of this guy. He's on track not only to take over the world, but he's so powerful that the only way he was defeated in the end was by Aang removing his bending. Iroh knows better than to go against that. There are also some previous decisions made that make his choice to not speak up in the original make more sense, like how the duel was on stage, so Iroh speaking out against the Fire Lord would have just humiliated Ozai, causing even more problems. I would also like to know how easily he backs down. He literally went up there to just be told, "We'll see," and then go back to the audience. A lot is told about Azula's character during the scene, even though she shows up for one shot for about 2 seconds. She's giddy at the sight of her brother's torment. It means she gets to be next in line on the throne, and she gets to see her brother, who she hates, finally get his due. It felt like revenge for their mother loving him more, as if she was showing him up by saying their father didn't care about him at all. She was officially the crown princess, and he was nothing more than charred meat. In the live action, her reaction is nothing. She actually looks worried for Zuko in some shots, which is an argument that could be made that she cares for him, but this scene is not the one to show it. And in the other, she's mildly interested at best. It's not supposed to be a secret that Azula hates Zuko and wants to make him miserable, so why would she not revel at the sight? That one frame of her with her fist pumped in the show is so much more powerful than her just watching. Next is the worst massacre of a character that I have seen in a long while. Zuko fights his father. The significance is much greater than it sounds. Not only does it once again diminish Ozai's reputation and power by making a 13-year-old think he can beat the Fire Lord, but it also undermines a value that Zuko actually holds pretty dear: family. He loved his mother more than anyone else as a child. Sure, his dad is more distant than she was, maybe stricter too, but he was still his father. He wouldn't hurt his son, right? Zuko knows family shouldn't hurt one another. They should protect and love, so of course he doesn't want to hurt his dad. He's just a child. It also takes away the representation of domestic abuse and violence that's often faced by real families. This isn't to say that just because someone fights, then they weren't abused. But more often than not, victims feel as if they have no power, that they owe their abuser something, or similar sentiments. Zuko was more likely than not abused by his father, even if it wasn't physically before, it was definitely emotional. He was denied familial love and care, but he still believes his father could be a good man. He was just busy being the Fire Lord, he was still family. So why is live action Zuko so ready to fight his father? This Zuko no longer cares about the values of family like that Zuko did. I genuinely cannot think of a single reason this change was made other than they wanted to spend thousands of dollars on this VFX and set instead of making the show long enough that they could actually show instead of tell and hold the audience's hand through the entire thing. This show had some real potential, but they took one of the most important stories that is not often told in media about a kid being abused by his father, feeling some sort of responsibility to make up for that abuse that he himself suffered, into a fight scene. It's something that's really telling and touching and sincere, but the show just doesn't give it a good or fair shot. Instead, they want to go with spectacle, lights, showiness. It's truly a shame because I felt like there was so much that this show could have done. But hopefully, this failure will make Nickelodeon realize that live action just does not work for Avatar. And hopefully, we'll be able to see more projects made by the original creators being funded instead of crapshoots like this. Thanks for watching, and I'm sorry that this went way over time.